We are in another edition of BeerAmerica.tv. I'm Paul Leone with
John Pinkerton.
And we did a beer not too long ago from Oklahoma. Never had an Oklahoma beer before. When I think of Oklahoma, I don't think of beers. You know, I just don't. Now, I don't know why.
What do you think of?
Two things I think of. Well, now I do. Steers and beers. Yeah, exactly. You thought. But anyway, we're shopping the other day, and another place that popped up, and I saw this from New Mexico, a New Mexico beer called Sante Fe Pale Ale. So I picked it up and thought, well, let's do a beer from New Mexico. We haven't done a beer from New Mexico. Are you familiar with them?
Not really.
Okay.
They have a beautiful label.
Yeah, it is really nice, the Sante Fe. I mean, it's kind of very, minimalistic on the front, and if anybody's ever been to New Mexico, then that image will, come to mind. It's very nice.
Beautiful.
Yes, beautiful. And
although I don't think it's quite that green.
Well, no, it's not quite that green. It's a little more brown, but the mountain and the clouds and all that's kind of more accurate. But anyway, they say on their website that they're the New Mexico's oldest microbrewery. It's in 1988, and actually that's pretty early, would you say, for a lot of the craft beer, people getting into the game?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I didn't get into the game until the mid-90s.
Well, I don't think back in 1988, I mean, the movement really wasn't going on, right? I mean, it was, it was still,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was called a movement yet.
No, probably not. Yeah, I guess not.
Gathering steam.
We was gathering steam, and a lot of folks were just happy drinking whatever it was they were drinking. And so this is a pale ale, and it said that it has a German yeast.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. What would that do to it? I guess maybe taste more like a German beer?
Well, one would think. I mean, Germans have more than just lager yeast, of course. They have Kolsch yeast and have Altbier yeast, and then they have Hefeweizen yeast, and probably some other stuff too.
Yes.
But, that is an interesting combination there.
Yeah.
To me, it almost has a little bit of an English aroma, which is weird considering that.
But it's an American pale ale. Now, why would you say English aroma? What is typical of an English? Yeah, okay.
So that I would expect from an English ale. I wonder if
is that a hop?
No, I thought maybe I just washed my hands. I thought maybe
so you're not getting soap. You're getting fruiting. Okay, all right.
My hands are actually pretty neutral there. Well, of course, the fruit character can come from other things besides the fermentation characteristics. You could be getting the
citrusy
hoppy character. And this was Willamette and Cascade, I think?
Yeah, I believe so.
So Cascade's going to throw some citrusy elements and floral. Willamette's, Willamette's a little bit more like a classic English hop. So
maybe that's why you're getting...
But in a sense, like floral to grassy, I would say.
Maybe that's why we have the green on here. I don't know.
Well, I think beyond this sort of perplexing fermentation characteristic, I would have to say it is a lovely kind of light.
Yeah, light's a good word
light
for
but
it.
Not dry palate.
Not overly hoppy at all. There's a nice
malt
hop.
Character is very.
It's,
there's kind of a nice, kind of crisp base flavor there. This is a nice beer.
True to style?
I guess it depends what we're going for. Is this an American pale ale?
It's an American pale ale. But they mentioned
that would be my what I would call it, just based on the flavor. It's a nice beer. This would probably fit into that category of kind of nice, easy drinking sort of spring/summer beers.
Yeah, I could see that.
Talked about.
Mario, you want to try it? Mario is working the camera there. Let me let's get his cup. There we go. Because he's working, I got to give him something. You reach in there. There you go. Give yourself a little taste. Tell us what you think. Of course, there's very little that Mario doesn't like.
Very discriminating palate.
I think I gave him Jubilation 13, which of course is a gigantic beer, and he thought it was his favorite beer in the world. So that's where his palate lands. It's good, he says.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice. Good. Excellent. Well, our
Well,
first
I want to
beer-
know more about Santa Fe. I want to know more
Yeah.
about this brewery.
They have quite a few beers. I noticed. I'm just I'm not familiar with them, but I guess being here in Texas, it would make sense. But I still not seen them in a lot of
Just
stores.
a hop, skip, and a jump over to Santa Fe, right?
It is, yeah. Just
3 days
right around the
drive.
corner. Well, 3 days to get across Texas, and
Yeah.
then it's another day to get to Santa Fe, New Mexico.
The grand state of Texaco.
Texaco, yeah, yes. They will secede at some point, but anyway, that's a whole other topic.
Yes, indeed.
So very nice offering from. I'm with you. I'm interested to know more about them, and maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to taste some more of their beers to see if I can kind of maybe place where some of that other character is coming from. I remember hearing something about the traditional square fermenters, so there must be a
open fermentation at one point. Yep.
English sort of theme in there somewhere. So I don't know. Who knows? Put a German yeast in an English style open fermenter. Does you get a
all bets are off, baby. That's what I love about it. Let's just throw it all in and see what happens.
Well, I will say this. I mean, fermentation. The shape of a fermenter can have radical
Really?
effects on the way.
So if it's round or square, doesn't matter, or it matters.
I think what we when we say if it's a round tank versus a square tank, we're just thinking, philosophically, like, well, how could that possibly make any difference? But I think you have to kind of go beyond just the shape. What you have to think of is in terms of at least two fundamental things. I think one is the actual liquid height of the beer, so that's going to impact the what we call the static head pressure. It's going to exert, the higher that liquid level, if you have a 20-foot tank, you're exerting nearly 10 psi at the bottom of that tank, just from the weight of the liquid. Now, the other effect is going to be the shape is going to impact how various sort of thermal currents set up. And also, even beyond thermal currents, you have the evolution of CO2 during fermentation, which is going to create its own currents as well. So depending on how that thing is shaped, it's going to... The patterns of sort of the currents that occur in that tank are going to be different in every different style of tank. So, and that's why you can go from even like you have the phenomenon where you have small breweries that are graduating, so to speak, to these bigger breweries where they're going from, say, a 20-barrel tank to a 100 or 200 or 300 or 400 barrel tank, and it might be the same style of tank, the same cylinder conical style tank, but because it's so much bigger, the geometry may be a little bit different. You have different
It's
static head pressure,
will change.
And it's going to change. Yeah, it's
never would have thought of that.
These are things that you have to think about.
It's way too much to think
Who
about.
knew?
You're taking the fun way out of it.
I know. Who knew beer could be so boring?
I thought you just dump a bunch of stuff in with water, throw some yeast in, and you got beer, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's that simple, right?
You just wave the magic wand.
Right, and then you drink it all day.
Yeah,
that's the life of a brewer.
That's all we do is we just drink beer.
Life of a brewer. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Something
there we
like
go. Very nice. First offering.
Anyways, yeah.
Paul at
Back to the
beeramerica.tv.
good stuff. Pink at beeramerica.tv.
Email us. We'd love to hear from you as always, and catch us on iTunes. That seems to be where most people are finding us. So, cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
I think the people from Santa Fe should send us some beers.
I think that
Give
the
us a
people
range.
from Santa Fe should send us some beers too, John, as we're off camera and not this episode is over. So, yeah. Okay. Good idea.
All right.
All right. Cool.